Hello and welcome. It's Lucy here from Inclusive Change at Work, our community interest company. That's icaw-cic.com. And today I am talking about digital well-being for young people in our series of safeguarding young people in a digital age. So let's get started today. I've got Megan with me from the Cyber Protect team at Avon in Somerset. And Megan is going to be one of our exhibitors and bring in her knowledge and awareness of Cyber Protect. I am going to start again there because I just completely waffled. Okay. So
That's all
bear with
right.
me.
I do it all the
Um,
time.
so I've got Megan today with me from Avon in Somerset's Cyber Protect team. Hi, Megan. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining me today. If you're listening to us, we're going to be talking about the Castle Conference, which is taking place in Bristol on the 25th of April. Hopefully, you're listening to before, but if not, hey, it's been and gone. But Megan, you're going to be one of our exhibitors at the Castle Conference, talking about digital wellbeing for young people. Tell us a little bit about you and your organisation, if you can.
Yeah, of course. So, as we said, my name's Megan Haldane, and I am the one of the Cyber Protect officers for Avon and Somerset Police. There are two of us, but you're stuck with me today, I'm afraid. And
There's
my
no
job is
stress
as
at all.
My job is as a cyber protect officer and I cover the Avon and Somerset County. Now, you do find a cyber protect officer in every single police force across the country, but like I said, you're stuck with me because you're in Avon and Somerset at the moment. We have quite a big role that, like I said, covers quite a wide area, but we also cover a variety of different topics. So, in general, we look to help raise awareness of what cybercrime is and help to break down some of the stigma and embarrassment that's associated with becoming a victim of cybercrime. Because unfortunately, a lot of people blame themselves and often feel like they've done something wrong and they feel really silly. And we come in and we say, actually, hey, it's okay. You know, you're not at fault. You've not done anything wrong. We're here to help you and help you recover from it. So we do a lot of engagement work with members of the community. We get to go along to things like Rotary clubs, WIs, massive community groups. We also work with businesses, organisations, and charities to help improve their resilience to cybercrime as well. We run a lot of workshops, interactive workshops like a cyber escape room, which is as fun as it sounds. I can confirm it's great fun. Yeah, but it helps to
Is
just
that
sort of
something?
what was that?
No,
Sorry.
sorry. Is that something that anybody can do? The cyber escape room, is that kind of for all ages or is that for younger people?
So it's meant for employees within organisations and it's
Okay.
aimed to help you learn about cybercrime and how you can protect the organisation from cybercrime in a really fun, interactive way. We have ran it with secondary school students before and colleges and
Yeah.
universities. It's aimed at, like I said, bigger organisations and companies, but you never
Yeah.
say no. And I think it benefits absolutely everybody.
Absolutely.
So it's a great piece, that one. But the bit that's relevant, obviously, to today and to the Digital Wellbeing Conference is we work with the education sector in a couple of different capacities. The first capacity being that the education sector is unfortunately the most targeted sector for cybercrime
Mm.
and especially things like ransomware. And that's due to the data that they hold. They hold a lot of sensitive data about vulnerable individuals, hence why they unfortunately become targeted quite frequently. So we run a sort of a cyber resilience workshop about how the education sector and those within it can protect themselves and the data that they hold against cybercrime. We work with school staff, so teachers, teaching assistants, admin staff, anybody that works within a school to again help raise awareness of how the school will be targeted, but also how they can help to
Mm.
protect the children within the school. We run empowerment workshops with parents and carers, and we extend this to foster carer associations, scout leaders, guiding leaders. We run it with children's centres, local councils, where we break down, okay, what is the current online threat? What are the concerns that we're seeing from a policing perspective? How can you mitigate it at home? And then how can we actually build your confidence and empower you with the knowledge to help keep your children safe? Because one of the biggest downfalls, unfortunately, is lack of awareness and lack of understanding of actually what is going on in the online world. And quite
Yeah.
often it's a bury your head in the sand and ignore it approach. And lots of parents say to me, well, I know I need to be worried, but I don't really know what I need to be worried about. So we break
Yeah.
it
How do
down
we
for them. We
start
say,
those kind of things? Yeah.
yeah. And quite often, like I said, parents are looking at it going, okay, What do I need to look at first? And it can feel incredibly overwhelming. So again, we come in and we just say, you know what, it's okay. Don't worry, don't panic, don't stress. We're here to
Yeah.
help you. And one of my favorite things that I love to say to parents is, you know, you hear the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And I
Yeah.
say to these
Yeah.
parents, let me be part of your village. Let me help you out. Let me in your village. We've got you. We've got your back, sort
Megan,
of
that's
thing. And we just
amazing.
yeah, I it's like I said, it's one of my favorite things, and it really
Yeah.
encourages parents to actually say, "Do you know what? It's okay to have help from wherever that comes from." And we give you loads
Yeah.
of free resources, loads of free information, and say, this is it. Here you go." And parents quite often walk away from our workshop going, "One, that was a lot. Two, I
Yeah.
feel so much more empowered and much more confident."
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, we work with pupils. So we work with them right from reception, so age 4, 5, all the way through to Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, further education, higher education, right up until they're 21. And then we'll start working with you from an adult as well. So we work with absolutely everyone.
The thing that's coming through to me, Megan, and I have to ask a question. There's 2 of you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff that you do, and how do you get to help the amount of people that probably need it?
Yeah, it's very carefully time managed.
Yes.
Our diaries are very carefully organized, myself and my colleague. Do you know what? We both wish that we could reach way more people that we can. But like you said,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we are two people, which is why whenever we do any of our workshops, my last message for parents is to go and tell someone about what they've learned. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you've learned this
Yeah.
information, tell at least two people and get them to pass it down and down and down. And then actually through sort of dissemination through other people, we're going to be able to target many more people.
Yeah.
And people that we might never have come across. We do a great workshop. I'm not sure if you're aware, we've got police cadets within the force, which are, I
I'm
believe,
aware of
14 to
them actually.
18. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we did a bit of an upskilling workshop with them a couple of months ago where actually they reach so many people that myself and my colleague cannot, both within the,
Yeah.
the education sector that they're a part of, whether they're in
Yeah.
school or college. They go out to communities, they do so much amazing work with members of our community. So I saw that as a bit of an opportunity and thought, right, we're going to upskill you with the knowledge to then pass on to other people. And it's through workshops like that which we can then
Yeah.
pass on this information. And despite it only being two of us, we're then relying on the wider community to help us out just a little bit because it should be a
Yeah.
community problem. It's not an isolated person's problem. It's not just one person's issue. Actually, let's make it a community problem and let's all help each other.
I I couldn't agree more, and actually some of our key speakers from the event, they talk about actually this is a community issue and this is a community challenge. So we can't just solve issues like digital well-being, digital online crime, fraud. We can't just fix it in one isolated agency or organization. It really is that community, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Like you said, one person can't solve the problem, unfortunately. It would be
Mm,
amazing if it could, but it's just not how it happens, unfortunately. It does need to be this community problem where actually we get, cross partnership working, community involvement, and actually coming together is the best way to tackle this problem, but also
yeah.
sort of accepting that the problem will always be there. So it's about supporting each other while it happens. We say
Oh my
actually
goodness.
these things, this crime does happen, these things happen, and is it ever going to completely go away? Who knows? But actually, while it's there,
Probably not.
let's support each
No.
other. While one person gets knocked down, let's make sure two people are helping them back up, to
Yes.
make sure
Oh,
we've got that ongoing support.
Megan, you're talking my language, and I'm so pleased to be here talking to you. Those of you people listening that get a chance to hear this kind of stuff and know. So something that quite often comes across, our parents are worried, are anxious. They're like, how are we gonna stop this? How is this gonna change? One thing I do say to people actually is I know there are great people out there doing really good stuff. So know that this isn't being ignored and avoided. You're one of those great people. Yeah, your
Oh,
team that's part of giving that little bit of confidence to people in and probably the beauty of what I'm doing and what we are doing at Digital Safety and Inclusive Change at Work is about creating that community and meeting people like yourself and getting you involved in something and meeting new people. Sorry, I've gone
Oh,
off on one.
oh,
Yes,
you've made me
there
all
we go.
goosey. Warm me up.
But it's true. People need to know that there are good people out there who are trying to support, trying to protect. It's in your job title, you know?
It is, and it's in
That's
our
what you
force
do.
values as well.
Mm,
Like I said, it's in the title of the job, but from Avon and
yeah,
Somerset Police, our mission is to serve, protect, and respect. And I'm so
exactly.
fortunate in that this job allows me to do that. It allows me to protect members of our community, serve them, and you know
Yeah,
do that in a really respectful way. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm very, very
Fantastic.
proud of my job, very honoured to do the job that I do. I absolutely love it. I'm quite passionate about this particular field of the job as well. I had my own experiences as a kid growing up with technology, had some really quite
Yeah,
negative, not very nice experiences from a young
yeah.
age. So now as an adult, I want to come in there so that children don't experience what I had to experience.
Oh my goodness, Megan, this is just thank you. All right. So that's what I'm going to just say. Just say, and the passion absolutely, definitely does come through. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question. We're going to get back to business. All right. So we've done that bit. Got the goosebumps. We've done that. So you're going to be exhibiting at the Castle Conference with us with digital safety and inclusive change at work. Why is it important to get involved in this?
Yeah, so sort of first of all, young people themselves, they're what we call digital natives. So they've grown up in a world where technology is ever present. And I love the term digital natives.
Yeah.
They're often quite trusting of online platforms, but they also then may not fully grasp the potential dangers that are lurking in that cyberspace. That therefore makes them prime targets for cyber criminals who will exploit, that naivety and their lack of experience and understanding. And then, secondly, in relation to that, the consequences of experiencing cybercrime can be particularly devastating for young people, whether it's identity theft, cyberbullying,
Hmm.
something called sextortion, which unfortunately is so, so common at the moment. The effects of that can extend far beyond, the digital realm in itself, but also have
Hmm.
serious implications for mental health and overall well-being. So, put yourself in their perspective. You imagine having your personal information stolen, it's used to impersonate you online, or it's being used to relentlessly, harass or bully you through those social media platforms. Those experiences can then lead to anxiety, depression. We see some cases where we have sort of suicidal thoughts. So therefore, that makes it crucial to address the impact of cybercrime on young people's mental health. So therefore, empowering young people with those, that knowledge and the skill set to protect themselves online, it gives them that sense of autonomy in that actually, there are things that you can do to protect yourself while,
Hmm.
having your independence in the online world. But also then, like I said, it promotes that digital well-being. We educate them about, the online safety. We'll teach them how to recognize phishing attempts, because we give them a phone when they get their first phone, but we don't tell them what a phishing text message looks like. We don't tell them
Yeah.
that you don't click on a link, do we? We give them the phone and off they go. We don't educate them with these things. Therefore,
Yeah.
we can, that encourage them to practice those good cybersecurity habits, and then that can be used to sort of mitigate the risk and ensure that they can navigate that digital space safely. And then, like I said, it ultimately comes down to addressing the impact of cybercrime on young people. And it's
Yeah.
not just about protecting their digital assets, it's
No.
also about safeguarding their mental health, but ensuring that they can actually thrive and do really well in the digital world.
Yeah, because we can't get away from it. That we are part of the digital world now. This is all part and parcel of our life. My own daughter gave up her mobile phone when she was 14, 15 years old and said, "Please take it away. I don't want it anymore," because
Yeah.
she didn't want to be part of that. And so she's chosen to step away from that. That isn't practical for everybody. Not everybody wants to, not everybody can. And I think you really touched upon that point, that impact of cybercrime, the impact of phishing, the impact of that goes right to somebody's real life. It comes out in IRL or whatever. I'm getting there with my acronyms. It comes down to the real life experiences and the mental health, the anxiety. But not only that, do people notice the impact on the whole family, the whole community when something like this happens?
Absolutely, something can happen to one individual within a family. And like you said, it does impact the wider family and also the wider community as well, because children are accessible 24/7 now. If
Mm,
flash back to before, phones and technology existed, if you were bullied at school, that bullying stayed at school.
yeah,
You left the school gates and it ended there. You could go home, disconnect from
yeah,
it, and it was a separate issue. It doesn't happen like that now. They're accessible
no,
24/7. And that is, of course, going to have then negative impacts on the wider family and wider community as well. And like I said, it goes back to it being that massive community problem. But like we
yeah,
said, we don't want to take them away from the digital realm and the digital, space, because you're almost
no,
then putting them at a disadvantage. I think about now the job that I have now. If I didn't grow up with technology in the way that I did, I probably wouldn't be able to do the job that I do now. But I was quite fortunate, and I grew up with a dad as an engineer. And if something was broken, we pulled it out on the table and we fixed it. We
yeah,
learned, we built from it. He would show me the computers, everything that he was doing. And I now very much use that skills and that mindset as an adult in my job. And I think, well, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have been able to fortunately land in the job that I'm in, because technology is part of my everyday life. I can't work without technology. So if we restrict
yeah.
children from accessing technology now, you're restricting them later on. So that
Yeah,
is why,
for their good.
yeah,
That really resonates with me. So, at Inclusive Change at Work, our tagline is building the future of work with neurodiversity in mind. So, you can break that apart, but the whole point of building the future of work for me is one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about this piece around digital well-being. In that you can't just break everything off and say, oh, okay, well, we're gonna ban this or we're gonna stop that. You need to have access to being online, but you need to be able to do it safely. You need to be able to understand the boundaries or the parameters. And exactly as you're saying, we're building the future of work and we're building our future communities with young people.
yeah, absolutely we are. And, the skills that they're going to learn and develop now, they'll utilize later on. But also, from a parenting perspective, you can use this to your advantage. Your children are a knowledge hub of things in relation to technology, the online world, digital. If there's something you don't know, likely is that they'll know it. So get them to
They
teach
will.
you, get them to show you. And
Yeah.
it opens up that door of conversation there. You get both parties included and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's engaging. This is what's going on here. And I've got a bit of a rule that's show me, tell me, teach me. If there's something that
Oh,
you're not
tell me
sure
more.
about, yeah. So if there's something that you're not sure about, or your child comes to you and says, I want Snapchat, I want Yubo, I want Instagram, whatever it is, if you're stood there going, don't know what this is, don't know the first thing about Snapchat, use it as an education piece. And I compare this to, if your child comes to you and they say they want a hamster or a rabbit or whatever it is, you send them away
Yeah.
and you say, right, research the cage that you want. How are you going to look after it? What does it need? Da 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 da. Do the same. Apply that to the digital world. Okay, you want Snapchat. Go away, research, tell me what it is, how you're going to stay safe on there, what measures are you going to put in place, and get your child to go off and do the hard work. If they're really not that bothered about being on Snapchat, they won't do it, and then the conversation
Yeah.
gets dropped. If they really want to be on Snapchat, they'll go and do that
Oh,
little
they'll
bit of
come back.
hard work. They'll come back to you. And then as a parent, you say, okay, show me, tell me, teach me, educate me. And they've done the hard work for them because, as a parent, you're stretched for time all the time, aren't you? You haven't got enough time
Yeah.
to sit down for a cup of tea. Get them to do the hard work for you and just use it to your advantage. And like I said, you've opened up that door of conversation then. You're both involved. It's a tabletop exercise. And if it comes down to actually the decision being, sorry, no, you can't have Snapchat, don't just say flat no. Tell them why. I'm not saying,
Hmm.
you have to completely justify your decisions as a parent. I'm just saying to keep them in the loop and, say that you'll review it. Okay, it's a no right now, but we'll review it in 3 months. We'll review it in 6 months. And even if you do say yes to them and say, yes, you can have Snapchat, still review it. Review it again in 3 months, review it again in 6 months, whatever you decide your timeline's going to be. And you say to them, okay, how's your privacy settings? Have you seen anything that's worrying you? What's going on
Brilliant.
here? Has anything changed? And you just keep the door open, you keep it wide open, and they are more likely to come to you with concerns. Because the other mistake that we quite often make as a parent is our instinct is to safeguard our children by restricting access. Okay, you've
Yeah.
seen something that you shouldn't have on there, you're not going to go on it anymore. On our brain, we go, that's because, we want to wrap them in bubble wrap, no harm can ever come to
Yeah.
them. In the children's brain, that is, well, that's a punishment. So are they gonna tell you next
Ah,
time they see something that, they know is wrong?
no,
Because 'Cause I'm
no, because
sure
you're
we'd
gonna take it
much
away.
rather know about it. Yeah. They
Yeah.
think, "Well, I'm not gonna
Keep
tell you because 'cause you're gonna take my phone away."
yeah, keep the dialogue open and keep
Keep the
it's
dialogue
not a
open
punishment.
every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh
if
my
for
god,
whatever
Megan, that's
reason you
brilliant.
do need to use technology, to say, "Actually, you can have your phone taken away from you because 'cause you've been misbehaving,"
Yeah,
tell them why. It's not
yeah.
because you've seen something wrong or something that you shouldn't have, it was because you were really rude to your teacher or whatever it might be.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point. Right, next question. Okay. What are you hearing from parents and, young people at school, on this topic? Is it really all that bad?
Yeah, so I've sort of broken this down into our three little categories here. So we've got parents and carers, young people, and schools. And understanding the different perspective is actually, one of the crucial elements of understanding digital well-being. And then actually, how do we, develop effective strategies to address these challenges as well? So from a parenting perspective, lots of parents say to me, I'm really, really concerned about the impact of cybercrime on my child's well-being, but I don't know where to start,
Right.
or they worry about their children's safety online, and that can include risk of cyberbullying, online harassment, and exposure to inappropriate content. But like I said, parents feel so overwhelmed by it because it's rapidly evolving, it's rapidly
Mm,
changing. Just as they get their head around one thing, it changes to this thing, and then it changes to that thing as well, and we can really, really struggle to keep up with the trends and the threats. And therefore they go, oh, what do I do? And then when you get that head in the sand, I'm going to ignore it approach because it just feels too big to tackle.
right.
So therefore, they then start to seek guidance and support in navigating those issues and protecting their children from digital harms. And that is, like I said, where we come into play here. Then, from a young people perspective, young people are, they are aware that there are risks and challenges posed by cybercrime
Mhm.
in the digital age. And if you talk to them about hacking and DOSing, which is denial of service attack, they'll tell you all about it. They do know all about it. They quite a lot of them have first-hand experiences of dealing with online harassment, cyberbullying, and things like that, which have already had a mental health impact or impact on their
Mm.
well-being, but they don't want to talk about it. Lots of children say to me, "Well, yeah, that happened to me, but I didn't tell mum and dad because they would have taken my phone away from me." So it's happening
Interesting.
already. It's happening under our noses. Children are
Yeah,
experiencing this, but they don't want to come forward and talk about it from fear of punishment or fear of being told off. So it's
that's
already
a
happening.
really, really
Yeah.
interesting perspective, and possibly one that people tend to go down that, "Oh, well, I'm gonna take your phone away from you, or I'm gonna stop you having access to that." And like you say, that's closing down the conversation, isn't it?
It completely shuts the book. It shuts it, and they go, "Well, I'm never, I'm not going to talk to my parent or care about it again." So when I come into
Yeah.
schools, and I know from some of my other colleagues, when we go into schools and we're not their parent, we're not their carer, we've just come in as an independent person from the police. They tell us all sorts that's going on. I go, "Well, have you told your mum and dad?" "No, can't do that." They'll tell me off. They'll take
No.
my phone away from me. They'll stop me from
Yeah,
going on it, which is why we then
yeah,
have those parent workshops where we say, "Actually, this is what your kids are saying. This is what they're telling us. Do with that information what you will." But with young
yeah,
people as well, we've also got the added pressure that they have of maintaining certain images and personas online, which can lead to
yeah.
that insecurity and anxiety. And, lots of young people struggle to discern between sort of genuine online interactions and malicious behavior, which therefore makes
Mhm.
them more susceptible and exposes them to online scams and manipulation because they don't have the ability to differentiate. So
Yeah, I
that's what our
totally
young
get
people are
you.
saying. Yeah. And then from a school
Whew.
perspective, you've got schools, they play an essential critical role here in educating young people about digital literacy and online
Mhm.
safety. Lots of schools, recognise the importance of teaching students how to navigate the digital world responsibly and ethically. And lots of them do incorporate that into their internet safety lessons. They'll quite often, like I said, get myself to come in and my colleague, and we'll go
Mhm.
in and we'll talk on their internet safety lessons. They utilise things like Safer Internet Day, which is the first Tuesday of every February, which is a globally recognised day to encourage people to think about online safety. And it's amazing. But on the flip side, many schools face challenges in keeping pace with that rapidly
Yeah,
evolving landscape of technology, but also they can only do so much within school. Like I said,
yeah.
once they leave that school gate, the children are out of their control. They can't, put restrictions in place there, so they can do everything within a school. And the schools I work with, they are always so incredible with the work that they're doing, but they need
Yeah.
parents on board. They need parents to take a step forward and take up a little bit of the responsibility as well to, protect our children here. So they're going to need, additional support from at home, from community groups. Like I said, you've got things like girl guides, scouting groups, any organizational group that's out there that works with children. They also need to take up that responsibility of protecting our
Yeah.
children and include it in, in your activities. I was a cub growing up. We'd have a week where we'd learn how to build a fire. It was great fun. What we needed
Yeah.
was a week where we learned how to stay safe online, where we learn about what we do if something goes wrong in, a fun and interactive way. So like I said, it goes back to that community approach of saying it's your responsibility, it's your responsibility, it's your responsibility, and you get this, well-rounded
It's all
approach
of them.
here. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
You are
it.
speaking my language. Now I've got the bumps, all right? Now
Ooh,
I've got the goosebumps, 'cause that whole thing of, like, bringing it all together, and like you say, a week of let's look at how we stay safe online. This may very well need to become part of our curriculum. It might need to be part of community groups. You know, yeah, there's a whole lot I can think of. And I can't wait for the conference where we can talk about this more and we can start exploring that a bit more. So I'm going to ask you one last question. What do you think we can do to make that change and support young people in a digital world now?
yeah, so again, I've broken this down into a couple of different categories because, supporting young people in that digital world does require that multifaceted approach where
Yeah.
we need different stakeholders, we need parents, education sector, policymakers, technology companies. We need absolutely everybody here to put in some steps to make some positive change. So when we look at it from, an education perspective to start with, we need to implement, sort of comprehensive digital literacy programs in schools, making it a structured program, for example, where we do teach young people about online safety, privacy protection, critical thinking online, and being a responsible digital citizen. And making sure that is age appropriate and cover, topics that are appropriate to that age category. I can't remember if I said earlier, but when we do workshops with our pupils and we work with them from the age of 5 to 21, we're not teaching our
Mm,
5-year-olds the content that we're teaching our 18-year-olds. No, when it
no.
comes to our 5-year-olds, we use a book called Chicken Clicking, which is
Yeah.
basically chicken licking, but online, and it's about the chicken using a computer responsibly, and they love it.
Right.
And do you know what, it
Yeah.
starts that conversation at such a young age in an age appropriate way, and that is just what we need to adopt sort of all over the place really. And like I said,
Yeah.
everybody involved in the education sector needs to be on board with that one. Then from a parenting perspective, it's looking to encourage parents to engage in open and ongoing conversations. Like I said
Yeah.
again, it needs to be ongoing. It's not okay, have a phone, have Snapchat, run off into the field. It's let's all get our technology out on the table once a month and talk about it. We'll talk about it as parents, you talk about it as a child. Okay, I'm really enjoying reading books on my iPad. This is what I'm doing. Or I'm reading the
Mhm.
news. This is how it's going on here. These are the steps I've put in place. I quite often say to children when I'm engaging with them about things like TikTok, I'm on TikTok, but I use the digital
Yeah.
well-being section on there because I get a bit stuck on TikTok looking at cute cat videos. So to
Oh
protect
my
my
God.
own well-being,
That video.
yeah,
Yes.
it's really bad, really bad. So to protect my own well-being, I've got a time restriction on there so I don't waste all my day staring at funny cat
Oh my
videos.
goodness.
And using those
Okay.
examples for children makes it more relatable. They go,
Yeah.
okay, it's not just for us as children, it's for you as an adult as well.
Yeah.
And like I
Oh,
said, you're allowing them that autonomy, but also relating to them.
brilliant.
Yeah. Mental health support is a massive one. So, providing access to mental health resources and the support services that are, directly there and directly tailored to address the, psychological impact of things like cyberbullying, online
Mhm.
harassment, online stalking, other forms of digital abuse. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, we've got a massive issue with something called sextortion, particularly prevalent in our area, which is where young people are encouraged to send intimate images of themselves and then
Mhm.
extorted for money afterwards, with the threat that
Yep.
actually if you don't pay this money, it's going to be released to XYZ.
Gonna be everywhere.
Ecological impact of that is
Yes.
it's insane. It's insane. There's
Yep.
been some really horrible cases, unfortunately, that have made sort of widespread news,
Yep. I've
but
been
parents
reading
aren't
those.
aware. If you say the word sextortion to a lot of parents, they go, "What? I don't
I
I don't
I
understand
absolutely
what that
agree.
is."
I'd say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I do think there needs to be, an emphasis on, regulation as well. So providing stronger laws and regulations to protect young people from online threats, again,
Hmm.
including cyberbullying, grooming, exploitation. There should be some, responsibility put on these technology companies as well, and, held accountable for implementing, more robust safety measures, and also
Hmm.
enforcing community guidelines as well. If you're going to have an age 14 restriction, enforce it.
And enforce it.
Put a
Yes.
verification process in place, don't just make it a tick a box. Put
Yes.
something in place that means you actually have to go through verification that
Demonstrate
you
that
are
you're
who you
14. Yeah.
are. Absolutely. Which goes back to sort of, technology design, and actually encouraging these technology companies, encouraging social media platforms to prioritize user safety and well-being in their design right from the
Mm,
beginning, right from the
mm,
development of their software. Actually, okay, when we're developing whatever it is, yes, it needs to look nice, it needs to flow nice, it needs to have its function. But let's also look at the privacy settings, the content moderation tools. What are the reporting mechanisms? How easy is it for someone to report harmful content on our platform? That needs to be
mm.
there from day one, not just after something bad happens, from day
Yeah.
one. I get quite passionate about that one, as you can tell.
I can
Um,
tell, Megan. I can tell.
and then the last one, which we've come back to consistently, and it's because it's probably the most important one, is community engagement and community
Yeah.
collaboration. Fostering that collaboration between schools, community organisations, government agencies, law enforcement, industry partners provides that massive, coordinated response to the challenges that are posed by cybercrime and digital threats. But that also
Mm,
then helps to raise awareness. We're not trying to shut the gate after the horse is bolted. Actually, we're just adding an extra padlock to the gate so that it won't open and the horse won't bolt from the beginning, and just making it a part of everyday conversation. It's not
mm.
something we only talk about when something bad happens. It's part of a normal conversation. We're putting in these proactive steps, and then we're helping our young people to navigate that digital world safely, responsibly, and confidently. And that is the three things that we're aiming for, really, isn't it? Safety, responsibility, and, like I said, confidence to do so as well.
Megan, this has been incredible. I mean, I could listen to you for forever. Yeah, thank you. I could listen to you for much, much longer, but we're about to wrap up. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've talked about. Just before we finish, is there any way how do people get in touch with Avon and Somerset Cyber Protect team?
So we've got an email address, which is
Yeah.
cyberprotect@avonandsomerset.police.uk. But if you're
Okay.
ever unsure, there's a contact form on our police website, which
Wow.
goes through to our contact team, and then they'll direct it back to myself. Or you can meet me
Fantastic.
at the
Thank
Digital
you.
Wellbeing Conference.
Yes. Oh, brilliant plug. Yes. So Megan is going to be at the Digital Wellbeing Conference, the Castle Conference, where we're going to talk all about digital wellbeing for young people. That's been hosted by Digital Safety Community Interest Company and Inclusive Change at Work Community Interest Company. We are very much looking forward to seeing you there, Meg. 25th of April, Lee Court. Tickets are still available and they are just £9. Okay. So if people are looking to become and come along, £9 for a day of speaking, networking, collaboration, community. The reason literally listening to you is like reading the case study and the business case we put together about creating the conference, that community network, drawing people together and knowing that we want to make a difference. We want to make better choices for everyone, and we can do that together. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Right. I'm going to say goodbye. If you want information about the conference, you will find it at icaw-cic.com. That's icall-cic.com. Or you can Google inclusive change and you will probably find the information there. So thank you so much. And time to go.